it used to benefit like pet adoption and pet care. That is something that you can do that is fun, entertaining, sports oriented.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Great idea.
Yeah.
And even the kids play and, you know.
And the kids, it can be, teens and adults or something like that.
Hopefully we can use the high school courts or something, and I think there are enough tennis families and even Saratoga High that can help you run the tournament.
Yeah, and we know, and a lot of the kids in the tennis team who are gonna be part of the Saratoga, maybe they can participate and volunteer.
Yeah, I think it's a brilliant idea. Do we need to take the permission of Saratoga High School to run a tournament in Saratoga High School courts, or?
The
Yes,
facilities.
we have to, all our facilities are booked so frequently. Yeah, so we just have to do that through our attendance secretary, but yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant idea. I mean, we will do the basketball tournament and then we can do tennis later in the summer. Yeah, so we have a champion. I'm looking at the champion. And, when we do things, sometimes it's towards a fundraiser, but sometimes it's just like when we did the 7 hours of entertainment in downtown, it was just, our banner was sitting there, people looked at Saratoga Cares, what is Saratoga Cares, we had a little tent there. So it doesn't necessarily need to be fundraisers. And then we did the holiday party celebration in Blaney Plaza, and the picture that got published in Saratoga News had our banner. The mayor was speaking, and then we had the banner next to it. So we get a little bit of publicity because it's all about growing our base, right? And so that's a great new idea for this year. Anything else that that we have? So we identified some new causes and all this will be proposed to the board at the next meeting, and then we'll talk it over and decide how do we want to go forward with this. So any other specific ideas, thoughts in terms of what we could create? Either for a fundraiser or from a support standpoint, missions that we could support. So, so right now we have things happening until June with our talent competition, and then it sort of is like fading away. So perhaps we have tennis after that, you think?
Usually the
I
Saratoga
don't know.
Open happens in summertime.
Yeah.
That's the only tournament that I know that happens, that uses their high school facilities in terms of official tennis tournaments. Saratoga Open is, I don't know.
She's like end of June.
Yes.
So Saratoga Open, and they usually,
Tennis clinics,
yeah.
different coaches. The tournament is usually just for the weekend or something,
right. So maybe sometime in July or,
When the kids are off.
yeah.
The only problem if you wanted to run on student energy,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
the girls' team starts late August and they play through mid-November. You get more buy-in and a captive audience if the kids were actually in school.
Yeah.
In school,
So
yeah.
maybe September.
September.
Weather's still nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because see, June we'll finish this, the Cat Allen thing, and that's a lot of work. So I think it would be a good idea to take a few months off and then do the next thing.
Yep. Perfect.
Yeah.
Anything that we should not be doing, because we had a long list, 3-4 items, like Celebrate Saratoga. Should we still continue to support the Chamber of Commerce with their events? Because it's not really bringing any source of revenue for us, we are basically helping. And this is going back to Susie. Susie was big into supporting downtown, so we are sort of continuing that mission. But any specific thoughts, something that we should not be doing,
Well, the visibility can't hurt. I know you said it's not a revenue bringing in process to work with the Chamber of Commerce, but like you also said, the visibility that you get from being there is definitely a plus point. So.
Also, are they going to do Saratoga every year or alternate years?
Oh yeah, every year I think.
Every year.
So the chamber is actually a good way to get involved if you're looking for voluntary activities within Saratoga. It's a very energized bunch. I think Emily Lowe, she basically triggered that, and now they are on a mission because I can tell these guys are really mean business. They are out to re-energize downtown. So it's a great group to get involved with. And I went for a few meetings last year. It was excellent to be involved with them. So activities, ideas from last year, so we had the blood drive, So we actually reached out to the Foothill Club, and Maya, you want to talk about the Foothill Club?
The Foothill Club is a nonprofit that runs to support activities in Saratoga and to maintain history of Saratoga. They have their own club, organization of women who run that. So we were trying to kind of tie into their December food drive, but they really need monetary donations instead of food donations is what they were looking for. Because they provide baskets to, not homeless, to lower income or seniors in the Saratoga area. So I'm definitely, I mean, that's another group we could support, but I don't know if that's something, I mean, we'd have to talk, so I don't know how much fundraising that would entail. I don't think it's a big thing, but they are their own little nonprofit.
Yep. So we talked about donating blankets, but they were more interested in the monitoring help. And so it depends on the fundraising that we managed to do for
Right. If we
June.
can support it, yeah.
And we really don't have any other mechanism for this year planned. I don't know what the Dandiya committee will decide with their funds later on this year, because the committee will sit and decide where they want to allocate funds. It may not come back to the Saratoga Cares like last year. And then, you know, I mean, a huge chunk actually went into the Saratoga High School Foundation, right? So, but from a fundraising standpoint, if we can hit 50K, then we are probably good to support lots of different causes. And someone had proposed doing private homes concerts and charging people entrance fee, and that was, I think we documented that, but it didn't seem like there was a lot of interest level on that. Tutoring Saratoga Subacute Learning Center, I mean, it's been there from last year. I think this year we need to act on that. So with Ranjana's
We'll
help.
put it on, yes, we'll put
Yes.
it onto this agenda here.
Yeah.
Because then I have a more organized way of directing volunteers.
Perfect.
So I will take that up right away.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And the village city, we have donate to Saratoga High School, Yola tea, chocolate fondue. I don't know what that is, but oh yes, I think that like the program where we drive people to go to those stores, and then they have them donate a portion back to Saratoga High School.
Yeah.
So should we try that model with Saratoga Cares Foundation, where we drive people to go out and make purchases, we tie in with the stores, and then a portion of that revenue is coming back to us?
Actually, can you just leave that for Saratoga High or Redwood or?
Sure.
I think the schools, yeah,
And Booster is also for
Yeah,
them
let's
too.
just leave it then.
right.
Senior Center, you know, driving SASSY membership, Tuesday was India Day, enrollment, helping drive them, you know, I mean, that was a big thing that came up last year, you know, helping drive the seniors to the senior center. You know, if we can have a pool of people who are willing to donate time to take the seniors, pick them up from their homes and take them to the senior center.
Is there still a need as there was? When they first started that Thursday, there was a need.
Yeah.
It seems to have taken off at this
Yeah,
point.
I think so.
It would be something to reassess and
Yeah.
see if they still require
Yes.
any drivers.
Yep. So, you know, perhaps some of them have figured out how to get there and some of them have sort of given up, maybe. So it's best to reach out to them and find out, yeah, if they need. And then if there is a need, then we can sort of figure out, right, I mean, how we can.
Yeah, we were talking about it, we another volunteer group that we are forming right now in Usha, my friend's house. We're talking about driving, especially Indian ladies. They, like the mothers, are sitting at home and they have no place to go to. They want to go to bhajan or something like that. That's one way of asking them to take them from place
Yeah.
to place. I think also this sounds like a good idea, but have them sign a piece of paper saying that if anything does happen,
Yeah,
that
exactly.
that's very
Yeah.
important, as they
Very
get
good.
sued for anything, any mishap happens. Yeah.
Exactly. Good. So any events that we do, actually, we have everyone sign off a waiver form. Our Diwali event was free, but everyone had to, if you entered that room, you had basically signed off the waiver form. We are not very sticky about it that you need to sign it. We just say reply via email that I agree with the terms and conditions. And I don't know if that's okay, you know. Is it okay to do that, where we just say, you send me an email that you abide by the terms and conditions as stated on this form on this day? I mean, would it hold up in the legal court if there was something to happen?
Not to ask a lawyer on that.
Yeah.
Is that, or they have this box where you check that I agree with all the conditions of entering this contest or coming to this. I don't think so we do that for any event, right? People come to McAfee for so many things. Like if somebody trips down in McAfee, I don't think so.
It's if you're in a private vehicle.
The McAfee probably carries insurance.
No, and also the organizers carry their
Carry
own
insurance,
insurance. So
right,
whenever,
right.
let's say I'm doing something for a high school at the community center, I have to use the PTSO insurance in
Correct,
order to do
correct.
the event at the community
So that's why I
center.
think you have to be careful with the foundation. If Saratoga Cares is in charge of finding drivers to drive people,
Yeah.
I
who's gonna
don't think,
cover?
because we have our own insurance, but it doesn't cover everybody that's in the group.
Yeah.
So I think it's better to keep it totally separate.
So typically,
And
like
not
when I was in
really-
grad school, I would need to go for a research project, and the school would tell me that, it's your insurance kicks in at that time, right? If I'm driving for a purpose,
Right.
so it's like I'm working for IBM and then I'm going for a work-related cause, but, insurance falls upon me, right? So similarly for a volunteer, I mean, wouldn't that same thing apply, or?
Not
But I think
necessarily,
if
she's
the
right.
group is organizing it, I think there's
Then it
the
would be part of
impression
the
that
foundations.
the foundation is
Yeah.
supporting this and therefore covering all the
But then if
volunteers.
you have a liability, I don't know if you have that for Saratoga Cares, but if you
We
have
do.
a liability insurance, general liability, which is different than the directors and officers
Right.
insurance.
We have both, yeah.
Yeah, so then you will technically cover those kind of stuff, but you can check with your provider to make sure that is, because it's a very fine
It
line.
is a very-
It
Yeah.
could, and usually what happens is people go after people who have money. They won't go, if there's no funds in,
Yeah,
that's
no,
what
you're right,
happens.
you're right,
That's what they
absolutely.
do. They go after organizations which have the funds. If they don't, then.
Certain times when you're driving somebody and get in an accident,
Right.
and lady says, I broke my back because of,
Right.
you didn't drive properly or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, she could go after our insurance is
It's built in.
sky up, it's going to go, our price is going to go up like crazy. And so it does, unless you have, if you have a voluntary group that forms like an organization and you have signed into this group and then they are supporting this lady.
Right, well, it's
Yeah,
very, very
it's very-
complicated.
yeah, it's very
So the
complicated.
best thing is to talk to the insurance, general liability and see what they cover, and then also talk to other organizations who organize volunteers like this who are driving. Because one of the line items in your general liability is, do you have any volunteers driving? And if you don't check that, then it's not included. So that's something to check.
Mm.
So we have the Santa Clara County, they have a service, right, for seniors to drive them around, what is it called?
Outreach?
Outreach, yes.
So they send the cars.
They send the
They
car.
send the
They
cars.
send the cars, yeah. So
The driver is taken care of.
Yeah, there's-
maybe we do an education of that, but I think the seniors may not want to use to go for a mile, right? I mean, just to go for a mile, it's not very efficient to leverage a service like that, right?
And they don't go for everybody, not everybody gets that
Yeah,
service.
yeah, you
Yeah.
don't get,
Yeah.
So, I mean, there is a lot of risks involved in us trying to, carpool the seniors, I mean.
Yeah.
It
I
seems
think
like
you
a
might
risky
have to
proposal.
table that until you get some
Probably
answers.
table that, think about it, right?
Yeah.
And International Cultural Bazaar, we talked about Scott Henderson. I'm trying
it's out of the gym.
out of the chamber, right? Yeah. So we talked about doing that with the chamber, but now, since we sort of understand the model, the Diwali thing that we did was actually like a Mela style, right? It was come in at any time and leave any time. So that's how we did it. So at any given time, we had probably 200 people in the room, and people were sort of coming in and out. And we can actually get an opportunity to do this at West Valley College. So it takes a lot of effort. Maybe not this year, we'll see, but something to consider. Sacred Heart, sending volunteers to them. Lady of Fatima with the bingo service, they have bingo and dinner, you can volunteer with them. We have a bread lady in the room. And
No, that is something that I do that's separate with the Los Gatos Council,
Wow.
so I don't want to bring that up on this if you don't mind.
yeah,
I'd like that taken
take
out.
that out. But
Yeah.
how about Sacred Heart and Lady of Fatima?
Yeah.
West Valley Community Service, Odd Fellows Home. Should we go out and I think perhaps what we need to do is build a volunteer team who might be interested in supporting this, right? And that's how we can approach them at that point, right? Because we don't
I know
know.
for a fact, Lady of Fatima also requires the TB thing, and I've tried to approach even the locals, senior center, the Odd Fellows and stuff like that. So they also do have, especially when you work with seniors, the TB testing,
Mhm.
especially not fingerprinting because it's not children, required and things like that. So if a volunteer pool is collected and the paperwork is done, and as she says, then it's easy to connect people to the people who need.
Yep.
And it varies. And then there's one more, in Las Vegas too, there's another senior center where they take volunteers. I just can't remember the name right now. But I've connected independently with all those, and even the El Camino Las Vegas has a very structured volunteer program.
Yep.
Where you can go and help out.
Excellent. So how about if we like created a pool of volunteers and then we have organizations that would potentially need support? Once we have a pool, we can reach out and say, okay, how can we help, right? I mean, is that a good model where instead of, fundraising, we have a mission, right? Our next couple events we have is around fundraising. Then we talk about just support, right? I mean, get our volunteer teams to engage for supporting our communities by doing some work, I mean, what do you think of that?
Where are you going to draw your volunteers from,
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
So in that constant contact, the database we have, the next email we send out in early Feb about the blood drive and the tournament, we will also solicit volunteers. If you are interested to volunteer for our foundation, we have lots of great causes and it needs a couple hours a week or, so sign up, let us know if you're interested, right?
Good idea.
Yeah, okay. So before we branch out and talk to those organizations, let's create a volunteer list, and then once we have like a 20-member team of volunteers who are interested, then we can start contacting them. Anything else that, any other ideas that come to your mind? So typically with an idea, how does this align with our charter? So that's the kind of conversation we'll have at the board meeting, So are there expenses, liability insurance, we just talked about that. Who's championing that, so you come with an idea, you champion that, so it keeps it simple that way. And so, we had a template that we had defined when we create these new ideas, new fundraisers. And this is our communication mechanism. We have our website, which has our mission statement and all these stuff. We have a Google group, we have the Facebook group, and we actually got the facebook.com/Saratoga Cares. That's our Facebook page. And we have an email, saratogacares@gmail. And then the constant contact, it's not referenced here. Oh, you can see this, but this was from our Blue Rock Shoot Christmas special. This is Vivian Schember, she always stops by at our event. And she's actually saying a poetry on Christmas. And we had a band, live band accompanying her. It was very special. And this is Alina Alsikov, who does a Bollywood dance. So she shows up very often. And she does some amazing, she's from Ukraine, but she specializes in Bollywood, interestingly.
She has Seema from Diwali. You got that video?
Yeah.
We're not gonna
We
let
have
that.
Rishi and Sita. Our own homegrown talents.
So that's all we had. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you for
This is
keeping
3:39.
us all organized.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
We got done early, in just about an hour. Thank you, Brian, for taking the time.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming down.
Yeah.
Let's talk to Sanjay.
Thank you.
Thanks. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
We'll be in touch.
Saratoga Hindu Temple. We have every festival we are meeting up. And we are doing it in the library. For want of a place, this year we just try to figure out where. We have a big crowd, so if you want to come and, that's his opportunity. 15th at 4 o'clock. It's Friday afternoon, depending on what is going on for who wants to come down. We'll have a big crowd of at least 50, 60 people that day.
Just stay on the field like,
Nice seeing you again.